there's that bigger room, not the main green room, but then you go through that corridor and there's that bigger room there off to the side. Are there live monitors back there?
Yeah.
Is there a way to make sure that those are killed? Because so after the Make-A-Wish presentation, we're going to escort them off stage. And we don't want any monitors in there because they're going to be kind of sharing about a surprise. And we don't want anybody to hear about that. Because, I mean, they're usually just off, right? I mean, the default is for them to be off.
I'm sure there might be on right now.
Okay. Okay, yeah. You can make sure those are off. That'd be great. Thank you.
friend. How are you? Hey, do you mind if I plug in an audio recorder outside in your little thing that you got there for the reveal? Huh? It's not yours? Oh, okay, even better. Cool. Do you record this at all? Can I grab a recording of just the part from you? Hey, and I actually have started to get like fun videos, so I'll start sending them over to you now. So.
Hey, Jorge, how are you? Nice to see you. It's an early
Well, it's gonna be an early one on Tuesday
It's gonna be
and Monday for you. Yep.
Good morning, everybody. Hi. 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 Yeah. So good to see so many of you in the back have chosen to sit near the front. Hey, welcome to Mission Week. All week, this has been a celebration of our voices of love. You've seen them on banners, songs about them, speeches made, images drawn, and these voices, just a word about that, are what does it look like when we're living out our mission statement well? These are aspirational ideas, ways of living and being that will always push us and challenge us. They're never fully attainable. But yet they're reachable at the same time. So that has that beautiful combination. And we'll be seeing these powerful ideas employed in many different ways across our company as we think about hiring new people and challenging one another and the values that are going to infuse who we are. So these are just going to keep showing up everywhere because they really drive who we are and what we're trying to be. Just a little bit of a recap of where we've been. And I'm going to have the assistance of one of our associates, Joel, who's done some fascinating artwork. So Monday, here's a recap. Karl Hafner, there he is, talked to us about becoming more welcoming. And again, thanks to Joel for giving us such a great summary there. Tuesday, Jonathan Henderson led us in Be Curious. On Wednesday, Sarah the Barge, Be a Mission Owner. Yesterday, Sam Lenore, Be Brilliant. And today on All Saints Day, in a minute, I'll introduce Tim Gillespie, who's going to talk to us about being a force for good. Being a force for good, one place that we do that as a company is globally. I want to show you a video right now. John Shore, who leads our global work, partnered with Bakersfield, Glendale, White Memorial, and Simi Valley just a few weeks ago, serving some 3,000 patients in Zambia. And here is a little retelling of their story. Let's watch.
Medical missions, I think, are not so much about the organization or what you're actually doing, but it's connecting with the people. It's letting somebody know that you really care about them and that you're interested and wanting to make a difference in their life. They're just looking for somebody to listen and hopefully impact and make a difference in their life. That's what I think gives us the opportunity to really be able to spread God's message and the love of Jesus to these people, and also, help them considerably with medical conditions and clinical conditions otherwise that they would really never have a chance otherwise of being able to deal with or take care of.
So for me, the impact of this mission trip, and I realized we were only here for 4 or 5 days, so it was a very short period of time to have an impact. If we just made an impact on the nursing students, because we worked side by side with them, and we were able to work with them on things that maybe they needed to do different, that was more efficient. If we just did that, I would say we were successful. I do believe that we made an impact on some of the children or people who are coming through as we taught them how to brush their teeth, how to wash their hands. So there's simple things that we did. So did we make an impact? We absolutely made an impact.
Mwami Hospital needs a lot of care. Number one, the facility needs tender, loving care, to say the very least. It needs maintenance, major maintenance. Just the bathrooms alone need major maintenance. The operating room needs so much, it's absolutely unbelievable. One of the ORs needs new lighting, new instruments. I mean, they basically need everything. They really, really do.
I know that God is working with me even up to now, because being here at Mwami, it feels like, how can I say it? I've been bitten by something and I'll never let go. I must come back again. So I've been smitten. I've fallen in love with Mwami. It's God's hand working through me and being able to provide what the people need the most here in Zambia.
So one thing I have learned from the people of Zambia is to have joy in the midst of whatever. Every place we have gone, there's that one person that comes in dancing and singing and happy, and you know that they're a person that buoys those around them. They care about people, and so having that joy and that perspective of retaining joy even in the midst of adversity has been really uplifting to me. I think the idea of this being one world, that we're all in it together, is so important. Every person is an individual that has a story that wants to be heard, that wants to have somebody listen, that wants to have a connection, and that it matters that we listen and that we reach out to people, and that we are all in this together. Because what touches one has the ability to touch another. And then sometimes it reaches that right person that can affect a broad population of people. Christ said, bring one soul to me. And that's what we need. And so even just the one makes a difference.
In being associated with Adventist Health and the emphasis that they put on missions, it was time. It was as if, okay, here is your moment to move out to a place here in Zambia for a mission to help. I received far more than I ever gave. And people told me that when you go on a mission, it changes you. And initially I had the bubble over my head going, okay, but wow, did that change a day after being here.
What the Adventist Global Health team has come to do in Miami Hospital, I'm very much happy. From what I've heard, the equipment that this team has brought to this hospital, that's the way to go. Because the equipment that you've brought today is not only going to help people that are living in this part of the world. There are other people that are going to come and be assisted with the same equipment that you've brought in. I don't even have ways that I can appreciate the person who came up with such kind of an initiative to come and assist people in this part of the world.
So the type of surgeries that we ran one room that was primarily gynecological surgery, where they did a couple of C-sections, they did hysterectomies, they did myomectomies, and then I worked primarily in the general surgery room with Dr. Faisal Khan, and we did thyroidectomies, we did hernia repairs, we did removal of lots of lipomas and hemangiomas and various other general surgery type cases. When you give, you're not only giving of yourself, but you receive back as well from the people that you're sharing with. It's a two-way street, really. I gain a lot from coming on a trip like this.
I think the impact of this trip really is seeing the inner peace, the relief, knowing that somebody has tried to address a need that they've been dealing with for years and years and years. Feeling that satisfaction that I'm going to be okay now.
Powerful stuff. So moving from our global work, doing a force for good in faraway places, to the very, very local, how we have the opportunity to serve one another with rapid response, even those of us that share the same badge. And just want to show you an example of that very briefly. Watch this.
All the things that happened was so fast, so rapid. We lost our home, our church, our community. I lost my job at the hospital, as did so many other people. But I didn't lose my faith. That's the one thing I hung on to. And it's got us through an awful lot, because I thought, I could be like Lot's wife and turn around and look back at all those things, or I could say, just let it go and God will provide.
The campfire took a toll on Linda Martella and the life she once had, but a precious gift from the Fire Assistance Fund gave her hope. Following what proved to be the most devastating wildfire in California history, something truly inspiring occurred. Adventist Health Associates and partners generously donated to the fund, and within 1 month, more than $667,000 was handed out to associates. Now we have another chance to be a force for good in the communities we serve. The new Rapid Response Fund will help associates in the aftermath of any devastating disaster, like wildfires, earthquakes, and floods. The money raised will provide aid for immediate needs like food, water, and temporary shelter, direct aid for associates so they can rebuild their lives, and community rehabilitation, including recovery work like cleanup and reestablishment of vital services.
It was one of those things where you put yourself in that position and you think, what if it had been me? What if that was my family? Because it could have been. And it then becomes so personal, and you think, I just have to do something.
With your help, the Rapid Response Fund will enable Adventist Health to move quickly and provide immediate relief when the next disaster strikes. Become a donor and be a force for good. You can donate online or by check. You can also contribute through recurring payroll deduction, like Roseville associate Linda Brothman, who says our mission to live God's love inspires her to give.
When people are in desperate need like that, they are sometimes very hopeless and without a place to turn. And to have an organization like ours that is there to say, we'll come up, we'll walk beside you in this difficult time, we'll partner with you, we'll give you some resources to help you get over that. I think that's one of the best ways to live God's love.
Jesus has this powerful adage that your treasure and your heart go together. In other words, when you have a generous spirit, it impacts the quality of your life. That your pocketbook and your heart health, they work together. And so what a powerful opportunity as we serve one another to invest in this. Just go to our website, Adventist Health, and /giving, and participate on a regular basis, shaping your heart and serving one another. We're delighted to have Derek Johnson and Jesus Culture, who are going to lead us in music in just a minute. And then the next speaking voice after that will be Dr. Timothy Gillespie, no stranger to Adventist Health. He has been a member of our family in many ways over the last several years. He's the lead pastor of Crosswalk, the fastest growing church in the Adventist denomination. He is a university professor, an author, speaks widely around the world, and is always one who will push our thinking. We will leave thinking a while about what Tim has to say. So thank you so much for leading us, and let's sing.
Well, good morning. How are you guys? Hey, you guys are going to get to sit down for the rest of the time, but why don't we stand up during this portion? Is that all right? And we're just going to jump into a time of worship. We're so excited to be here with you guys and really just get to love on Jesus for a moment for all the awesome things that you guys are doing and that you've seen. And we're just excited to be a part. So let's jump in. There's nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. In your presence, Lord. Oh, and we say, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. There's nothing worth more could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free, if my shame is undone. In your presence, Lord. Oh, come on, let's sing it out this morning, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. Oh, your presence, Lord. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness, Lord. We say, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. And Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, time, every voice, let's sing it out. And Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord, oh you give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord, oh it's your breath, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Yeah. 'Cause great are you, Lord, oh we believe it. You're great, great are you, Lord, 'cause you give life, you give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. 'Cause great, it's great are you, Lord. Oh, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Oh, we give you all the honor, Jesus. Oh, you're great. Sing it all the earth, and all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will say, great are you, Lord. Come on, if you believe that, sing it out this morning. And all the earth, and all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will say, great sing it one more time. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Come on, you believe that is any good this morning? Oh, I give you all, Jesus. Oh, I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. Oh, I raise a hallelujah. Hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. Our is a hallelujah. Heaven comes, oh heaven comes to fight for me. I'm gonna sing it, the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Yes, He's alive. I'll raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me. I'll raise a hallelujah. I will watch the darkness flee. I'll raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. Oh, I'll raise a hallelujah. Oh, fear you lost your hold on me. I'm gonna sing it, the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. He's alive. We'll sing a little louder, sing a little louder, sing a little louder. Oh, sing a little louder, sing a little louder. Oh, I'm gonna sing a little louder, sing a little louder, sing a little louder. Oh, in the presence of my enemy, sing a little louder, louder than the unbelief. Sing a little louder. My weapon is a melody. Oh, sing a little louder. Heaven comes to fight for me. Sing a little louder.
welcome this morning, everybody. Derek, thank you guys. Amazing. You guys can have a seat. Thank you guys for being here today. Man, I hope you're all recovering from your candy hangovers. If you're like me, you steal all your kids' candy as quickly as you can. Actually, this year we do a trunk or treat at our church. We had about 3,000 people there last night. And that means we've had it feels like about 10,000 pounds of candy just hanging around the church for the last 5 days. I have existed almost entirely on coffee and Tootsie Rolls. So I don't know if I'm feeling well or not today, but I'm glad to be here with you all. What an amazing week that you guys have had. I've chimed in. I've watched the live stream every single week, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just so stoked that I get to be in this venue, because the other room's great, but this is cool, right? So I don't know. They must love me more than Sam Lenore. So, which I think is reasonable, really. No, it's just. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I love surfing. I got to tell you that. I love surfing. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and my 13-year-old son was in the room. And you know, there's nothing that keeps you more honest than a 13-year-old boy. And so I'm talking, and I was saying to my buddy, I'm like, oh, I love surfing. I love surfing. And my son goes, do you? I'm like, what? Because I didn't know that he was paying attention, because he was in the habitual state that teenagers are. But he just goes, "Are you?" And I was like, "What? He's alive." And I said, "What? What do you mean?" And he said, "Do you love surfing, Dad?" And I was like, "I do love surfing, man. I love it. You've seen all my surfboards in the garage." And he's like, "Yeah, that's where they are. All the time. They never leave." I'm like, "That's not true. We go surfing." He's like, "Dad, when was the last time you were going surfing?" At this point, I'm having a conversation with someone else, but now I'm engaged in this conversation with my son. And I'm like, is this a teachable moment for my son, or am I just going to embarrass the guy who's here? I'm a little confused. And I go, "Man, we were surfing this summer." And he's like 4 months ago. And you hadn't been surfing for 2 years before that. "Do you really love surfing, Dad?" I was like, "We're no longer speaking. We'll talk later about this." And he goes, "No, I just want to know, because you say you love surfing so much." And the whole time I'm thinking, what is happening with this young man that he thinks this is an appropriate conversation? And so I look over at the guy I was talking to, and he's like, "Yeah, do you love surfing?" So I said, "I love surfing." And he goes, "Well, if you love surfing, why don't you do it more?" And I thought, yeah, because I have to take you to school every day. That's why. I didn't say that to him. I thought that's true. Listen, there's certain things we say we love, and we can say that we love those things, and it makes sense. I mean, listen, turn to the person next to you and just tell them, say, "I love you." Just turn to the person next to you, whether you know them or not. "I love you." Yeah, see? That's so easy. That's so great. Man, you guys, like this, there's so much love and warmth in the room. This is beautiful. All right, here's the thing. I want you to say it again, but this time I want you to put a little skin on it. I want you to look at the person next to you. I want you to put your hand on their face, and I want you to say, "I love you." Do it now. Do it the same. Just put your hand. "I love you. I love you." Listen. Okay. All right, now this is interesting. This is always a little bit of social dynamic. This is interesting. All right, some of you are like, "I love you." That you're saying it, but you're not meaning it with your skin. Dustin, your mission leader, literally went, "Nope, no, I'm not going." To be fair, he's sitting next to Scott's wife, so I think that may have been appropriate at that move. Yeah, love with skin on it means a little different, right? Love with skin on it is different. Love with skin on it is tangible. When you look at those people and you touch them and you say, "I love you," that love moves from something intangible to something physical, to something real. Love with skin on it is tangible. You know, actually, surfing is different than just watching surfing. And while this seems really obvious to everyone, The difference is in the doing. I am working and I'll see something on Facebook and somebody will say, oh, the world surfing competition is on in Chopu. And so I go check it out and it's amazing, these beautiful waves and the whole thing. And I watch and I'm entranced and I'll watch for 6 hours, watch these guys surf. But it's different than actually going and surfing myself. You see, the difference is in the doing. And again, this is obvious. Right? But we teeter. It's just in the vernacular now. You can't say a word that sounds like it. We teeter on the brink of being a society that thinks reading an article about something or seeing a headline or seeing somebody post about something is actually doing something. We think it's the same thing. Being woke is different than acting woke. Even identifying with being woke is not the same. You see, to be a force for good, we need to use our energy for good. And again, nothing brilliant here. It's just a reminder. You see, we live in a world of potential energy. Potential energy is the energy of a body or a system with respect to the position of the body or the arrangement of the particles in the system, like the position of the body. There's a position I love, it's sitting. I do. I love it. I love to sit. I love to sit because you can do lots of things when you sit. You can look on the computer. You can watch TV. So what I did is my wife and I, we were talking about, getting healthy, getting up there in years a little bit. I am. She's not. She seems to stay the same age. And I said, you know what? I'd love it if we had something we could do to get fit and sit. And she said, I don't think it works that way. And I was like, I think it does. Because I've been seeing this thing on my Facebook feed, a Peloton bike. And it's got a couple things. Number one, it's got a seat, right on. It's got a huge screen, 2 things I enjoy. This will be great. So we got it. And it's not really fair. You go down there and they hire only beautiful people to sell you these things. Right? So you walk in, and I could tell, this guy was South African. He had an accent. He was, taller than me. He was gorgeous. And I saw my wife walk in well, we'll be buying one of these. And I wasn't all that enamored. I'm like, oh, whatever, man. You're tall, you're fit, you're beautiful. And then the girl walked out. And it was one of those moments in our marriage where we're just gonna accept that this is a reality of the way we're thinking. We're essentially, and all the questions really lead to this. Can I look like you if I do this? Because eventually you get around to, so do you Peloton? And this guy's like, I Peloton every day. And the woman's like, I don't even Peloton every day. And I could see my wife's like, not every day. I like that. And I'm like, I'm ready to go. So but we're pumped. We're ready to go. We buy the thing. It takes a couple weeks to come. It gets there. And I'm like, oh, this is great. As soon as it gets there, they gave us the shoes. We got the family pack. We got shoes. We got heart rate monitors. We got we're geared up in Peloton. They even gave us water bottles. I'm everything. So I sit down. I push the button. And there's all these incredible instructors to choose from. And I choose an instructor. And I'm ready. And she's like, all right, you guys ready? I'm like, I'm ready. I'm by myself in this room, but I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm pumped up. And she's like, okay, start pedaling. I was like, what now? I gotta work? And she's like, yeah, let's go. And so I start doing it. And I thought, okay, well, I'm in. I'm just gonna do what she says. I bought a medieval torture device, and it is now in our extra room. Every day I walk in there I don't want to. And these instructors seem so sweet. They're like, yeah. And then there are horrible people who want you to suffer, right? They want that potential energy to become kinetic energy. You see, we like certain positions, which is what potential energy is. We like holding our phone and looking at it. And then what we do, we get really interesting now because now we have all these social media platforms, and I'm all for them. I'm a fan. But these social media platforms have allowed us to live in the appearance of doing something, but not actually doing something. Putting a post about something or retweeting somebody else's really thoughtful post, you know what that is? That's nothing. Right? Good for you, but you didn't do anything. If you want to be a force for good, that potential energy must become kinetic energy. And you thinking you did something by retweeting someone is not the same thing. And unfortunately, we have become keyboard activists. Yeah, we should, that's a good article. We should save the world. If I send it out there, maybe somebody will do it. But I mean, I'm still going to get the straws, right? I remember my daughter bought herself a straw. And this is a silly thing, right? But my daughter bought herself a straw, and we'd go somewhere, and they'd walk by, and they'd say, would you like a straw? And I'd be like, yeah. And she'd be like, no, you don't. And I was like, what? By the way, my children basically function to tell me what to do. That's pretty much why they exist at this point. It worked when they were younger. I told them what to do. We're older, they tell me what to do. And I said, yeah, I'd like a straw. And she goes, no, you don't. And I was like, no, I guess I don't. And she said, Dad, here's a straw. And she pulls it out of her purse, and I'm like, that's disgusting. I don't even know what's going on in the purse. That was not in a little cake. I'm not going to drink from that. And she's like, Dad, this is what we do now, because this is actually making a difference. I'm like, is it really making a difference? And she's like, well, it makes more of a difference than if you use the straw. And then, of course, she showed me a picture of a turtle with a straw sticking out of its nose, which is horrible and a little funny. It's not. The concept is not. The visual is. Anyway, sorry, that's inappropriate. You shouldn't let me speak. It's your fault. Anyway, the point being, she's like, Dad, if you don't do anything, you don't do anything. I'm like, that's stupid. Those are just repeating the same words. And then I walked away, and I thought, no, she's right. That's brilliant. If you don't do anything, you don't do anything. Saying you want to be a force for good is worth nothing. Being a force for good is incredibly powerful, and you've heard about that this week so much. I mean, come on, the couch holds our energy in its potential state for far too long. I love what Proverbs says about it. I love Proverbs because you can always pick a Proverbs that makes you feel bad. So here's one. Lazy people want much but get little, but those who work hard will prosper. Our modern culture is built in ways to keep our energy in this potential state. We cannot do much and feel like we've done a great deal. Galatians 6:9 says it this way, so let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. Be a force for good. This is the last of the B statements. And I think I got the tough one. I wish I could have had Sam's be brilliant. I just would have put a picture of Scott up there. And he works for you guys now. He missed that opportunity. Or be hospitable, but no, this one is be a force for good. Be energy for good in the world. Do something that makes a difference. Start creating momentum. Hebrews 13:6, and don't forget to do good and share with those in need. These are the sacrifices that please God. You see, God always seems more interested in what we are doing than what we are thinking or saying. And there's a great story about that. We find it in Luke 10, and it's a story that if you're familiar with the Christian faith, if you're familiar with the New Testament, you've heard this story before. It's the story of the Good Samaritan. But I want you to know something about this story, that the story is less interesting to me than the frame. You know, there's certain pieces of art where the frame is fascinating, but the art's like, meh. You know, I'm married to an artist and an art historian. She teaches art, and we'll go places, and I'll be like, that piece of art's amazing. She's like, no, that's horrible art, but the frame, that's phenomenal. I'm like, what? Really? The frame? I didn't really understand this until she painted something. It was actually before we got married. She painted this picture that it's beautiful. I mean, it's dark, it's moody, it's great. I love it. And we've had it for years, and I never got it framed because I didn't really know how the whole process went. So for her birthday a few years ago, I thought, I'm gonna go get this woman this painting framed. I think this will be beautiful. And so I go to a framing place, Aaron Brothers or whatever, and I walk in, I was like, I like this framed. And then they asked me a bunch of questions, like, how do you want it matted? What do you want? I'm like, I don't know, just frame it and make it look nice. And they said, no, yeah. So I went through the whole process, and then they said, okay, it'll be like $1,200. And I'm like, she painted this when she was like 19. I don't think the painting's worth $1,200. And they're like, well, it is now. I was like, is that how you sell this? Is that how that works? Sometimes the frame is more important than the painting that it holds. One day, an expert in the religious law stood up to test Jesus by asking him this question, teacher, what should I do to inherit eternal life? That's a question that he asked. Now, this is a question that they asked all the time. There were really two schools of thought on this. There was a school of thought called Shammai, and there was a school of thought called Hillel. These two schools of thought essentially answered the question differently. One answered it in this way: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and be holy. The second one was love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the two ways that they answered this question. So this question was posed and asked because they wanted to know what school of thought Jesus fell into. Jesus replied, well, what does the law of Moses say? How do you read it? And this is the brilliance of Jesus. Jesus knows that when an expert shows up, the expert is asking a question so they can answer it themselves, right? Pastors do this all the time. Teachers do this all the time. Pretty sure healthcare executives do it all the time. Right? So what do you think? You don't care. But you have to go, oh, well, what do you think? And so Jesus says this. Jesus goes, expert in the law, you want to know? Hey, what does Moses say? And the guy goes, well, the way I see it, he says, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus goes, you got it. Awesome. That's so great. Do this and you will live. And the guy's like, wait a second. What do you mean? And Jesus, yeah, do it. You got it. Do it. And the guy goes, I don't want to do it. So it's fascinating the way the scripture says it, right? Jesus says, right? Do this and you will live. And the man wanted to justify his actions. So that's fascinating. Why would the man want to justify his action when Jesus just agreed with him? Because he had no intention of doing anything. He wanted to justify his inaction. And so what did he do? He wanted to justify. So he asked Jesus, well, I mean, who can I really treat well anyway? Who really is my neighbor? Because what he is he's an expert in the law. And experts in the law, I don't know if you know this, but they like to find loopholes, right? When I'm arguing with my wife, I look for loopholes because she's way smarter than me. And oftentimes we'll be in an argument and she will be so right, I will forget what I was arguing about. And so I always try and frame an argument in this way. So by the end, I can say this: no, I think we're saying the same thing. I think that's what we were just using different. I think we're thinking the same thing. She's like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, I love you. I just framed your picture for you. Right? So this is what happens. He says, listen, really, who's my neighbor? So Jesus replies with a story. And you know this story, so I'm going to go through it relatively quickly. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, left him half dead along the roadside. By chance, a priest came along. When he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. Now, we have a tendency to vilify the priest, but the priest was doing exactly what he would do for his worldview, because he believed that you love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and you be holy. He had just left the temple. If he had just left the temple, he probably had a couple days worth of purification rituals so that he could be pure. So he's leaving the temple. They did like about a 2-week stint at the temple. It took a few days to become ritually clean again after the work that he had done with the sacrifices in the temple. So he's going back home on vacation. And he doesn't want to stop, because if he touches, first of all, he doesn't know if this guy is a Jew. Doesn't know that because the guy's half dead. He's bloody and they're not supposed to touch blood. And he doesn't know if he's dead. So he is moving exactly along the line of what his value system is. He looks at the guy and goes, I don't get to spend time with my family if I touch him because I got to go back to the temple. I got to get clean. I'm not interested in doing that. So he walks around, right? Passes him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. A temple assistant, that's this guy's secretary. You think he's going to make his boss look bad? I'm pretty sure if Scott walks around something, you're going to walk around it too if you have a meeting with Scott right afterwards. Because he doesn't find it valuable, so you're not going to find it valuable in the particular value system that they're living in at the time. Right? Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Now that word compassion is one of my favorite words in Greek. It's called splagnitzomai. It's a great word. It literally means a movement in the bowels. We translate it as compassion. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, but there's a reason for it. The word, if you translate it, can be called the pain of love. And for Greeks, stuff happened here. For the Jews, stuff happened in their hearts, right? You read the Psalms, and David is always talking about the heart of God. He's talking about his heart, that sort of thing. For Greeks, everything happened here. And by the way, when stuff happens here, you move. You know that? You know this. We don't need to spend too long on that. You can imagine what I'm talking about. For the Romans, everything happened in their heads. That's why when they got a headache, they just bore a hole in their head and let the evil demon out. Not a great process. But the Samaritan is moved. He felt compassion for him. He's moved in the bowels. He's moved in his guts. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, take care of this man. If his bills run higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here. Now, Jesus asked the question to this expert in law. Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by the bandits? Right, the man replied, the man doesn't even want to say the word Samaritan, right? Because they're despised, they're hated. So he goes, listen, the guy who helps, he's the one who showed mercy. And Jesus, to end the frame of the story, goes, yeah, go and do the same. The point of the story wasn't who the neighbor was. The point of the story was that the expert in the law had no intention of doing anything. Your orthodoxy, or what you believe, doesn't matter if you don't have any orthopraxy. If you don't do anything, no one cares what you believe. And see, this is, and if I'm demonizing social media, I apologize, but this is one of the great evils of social media. You post something and say something and you think you did something, but you didn't. And then we go find our value by figuring out if anybody retweeted it, right? And by the way, this is rampant in pastoral ministry. Pastors live by the retweets they get. In fact, there are pastors who take pictures of themselves and quote themselves in the same post. That seems a little narcissistic to me. I figure if I say something good enough, somebody else will retweet it. Nobody else retweets me. I don't say that much that's worth retweeting, apparently. See, but this is the frame. The frame is go and do, and then Jesus tells this long story, supposedly explaining who our neighbors are, but he's not explaining who our neighbors are, because all he's doing is talking about being a decent human being, right, to anybody. What he's really saying is, hey man, I know that you have no intention of doing anything, but I'm going to reiterate again that if you don't, you can be the expert in everything, and no one will care. You can be top decile on everything, but if you are not doing the work of God to the community, if you are not actually loving the community and being a force for good, then we got problems. You see, what we need to do is move all that potential energy that everyone has and move it into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of emotion of a body. Right? We measure it only in positive numbers. And here's the thing, enough energy, enough kinetic energy actually begins to create a gravitational pull. And when there's enough energy happening, a gravitational pull begins to suck other people into that energy. And then the momentum begins to build, and the momentum begins to build. And when that momentum begins to build, that little thing that started, it started as an idea and a potential energy, and it became kinetic energy, and then it became gravitational energy, and now it's a force for good in the world. Not just by one person, but by a whole group of people who've been caught up in that wave of momentum that has been created by that force that you are exerting on the world for good. That's what it means when we talk about being a force for good. But it starts by getting some skin in the game. It starts by leaning into this idea that I will not only say I want to do good things, but I will actually do good things. A practice that you need to put in your life is that you always go one extra step. So if you can drop off clothes for people who need clothes, go the next step and make sure you're the one who also hands that clothes to that person. Be invested in a way that is not easy. Because if you find yourself sitting, if you find yourself being potential energy most of the time, You can't be a force for good. You can think about it, you can believe in it, but at some point, as Jesus says, you have to go and do, because the difference is in the doing. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Jesus, listen, you've called us all to an incredible work. No matter what job we have, job titles don't matter to you. You've never looked at someone's business card and said, I can use you. What you've done is you've looked at the potential energy that we've had, and you recognize that you can move that into gravitational energy and momentum. So Lord, here we are. Use us, move us, push us, and help us be everything that you need us to be for the world today. In your name I pray. Amen. Thank you, guys.
All right, I get to give you guys an excuse to stand up one more time. Is that all right? No complaints? Stretch your legs. Man, that's so good. Well, let's just jump in one more time to a time of worship. I think it is so important for us to respond. When the Lord brings someone to speak such an encouraging word, that we actually take that moment to say, Jesus, we see what you're doing. We acknowledge what you're doing in the earth, and we acknowledge that we're a part of it. So let's just jump in. And mountains are still being moved. The strongholds are still being loosed. And God, we believe, yes, we can see it, that wonders are still what you do. And bodies are still being raised. And giants are still being slain. And God, we believe, yes, we can see it, that wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. Oh, yes, we need a move. We need a move. We need a move. The bodies are still being raised. The giants are still being slain. God, we believe. Oh, yes, we can see it. The wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. Oh, yes. 'Cause we need a move. Oh, we need a move. 'Cause we need a move. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. Miracles happen when you this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. This is a move. This is a move. This is a move. Believe it. This is a move. This is a move. Yeah. This is a move. This is a move. This is a move. Sing, we are here. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. 'Cause we need a move. 'Cause we need a move. Oh, we need a move.
Good morning, everyone. You may be seated. Special thanks to Derek and the band this morning. Our goal stepping into this week was to provide for our team at Adventist Health inspiring worship, musical artistry, compelling speakers that would help us to understand these voices of love. And each day we gave you an opportunity to connect with one of our Adventist Health regions and to be able to connect with a specific ministry that people in those regions are doing. And today is no different. And it gives me great pleasure today to introduce to you Jennifer Stolo. Jennifer is the president and the CEO of Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Northeastern California and Central California region, and Northern Nevada. Jennifer, we are so glad that you are with us this morning. Please give her a big hand.
Thank you. You know, imagine for a moment, just imagine, you could wish for anything in the entire world. Imagine that, anything. You could wish to be something that you've always wanted to be. You could wish to meet someone that you've always wanted to get to know. You could wish to have anything, that one special thing you've always wanted to have. Or you could wish to go somewhere far, far away. So every single day, children walk into our offices at Make-A-Wish. And every single day, they are given that opportunity to answer that question. Unfortunately, they're given that opportunity because they've been diagnosed with a devastating critical illness. An illness that affected their lives, the lives of their family, their friends, and oftentimes an entire community. 9 times out of 10, the child that walks through our door was once healthy. They were children like mine, like yours, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. They're children running up and down the soccer fields, playing t-ball. They're scholars, musicians, athletes. They're the kid next door. And all of a sudden, their childhood stops. They're robbed of that childhood in a moment in time. But that's when Make-A-Wish enters their lives. And Make-A-Wish has an opportunity to restore that happiness, to replace that fear with hope again, for something for them to look forward to. Right here in our region, our local chapter, headquartered in Sacramento, has granted over 8,500 wishes in the almost 40 years of its existence. What we've learned over that time is that wishes have great power. They have the power to heal. Studies have shown us, even in more recent years, that children who have wishes versus children who do not have a measurable difference in the outcome in their health. We see that happen every day. And now doctors believe that wishes are part of the treatment plan. Wishes are medicine. Wishes do heal. And so when individuals, families, companies, foundations, entire communities invest in Make-A-Wish, they're investing in hope. And how often do we get a chance to invest in hope? Probably more times than we would like to. Thank you. Bless.
Jennifer, we appreciate so much what you and your amazing organization are doing for our community. Now I invite you to look up at the screens. Let's check out a miracle.
Cameron was having a lot of leg pain. We took him in to the emergency room because it was very, very painful. Ended up seeing quite a few different specialists, and they did a biopsy of some Mets lesions in his leg, and then that's when we got the call that it was cancer. So they had to do a colonoscopy and find out where it was coming from. And so Mother's Day, we got the official diagnosis for colon cancer. It was devastating. It was heartbreaking, and it turned our world completely upside down. For myself, I was in shock. Cameron was the only one who was extremely positive through the whole thing, and we've just followed him.
It's hard for me seeing what other people feel. Like my mom, you know, she gets really down and out sometimes. I handled my diagnosis very, very well. And I really has to go to God, because without him, I don't think I could. But I came to amends with it, and it doesn't really bother me.
The day we got the diagnosis, my husband, you know, he didn't want to go in and tell Cameron the diagnosis, and I told him we've always been honest with him. So we did together go in and tell him, and Cameron, he looked at us and said, "Mom, Dad," he goes, "I know." Cameron said that he spoke to God already, and God told him and let him know that he's right here with him, with us. When you're hurting, it's easy to sit at home, you know, kind of wallow in despair, but Cameron has such a heart for the community. Being out here and doing things for others, it takes his mind off of it. And us as a family, it does the same thing, you know? So it's a beautiful thing to be able to do for others, and I think that's why we're in 100% in doing this for him.
You could meet Kevin Hart or something like that, or you could go to Disneyland, or you could go to Hawaii, but after that, it's over. Like with this, I could continuously give back, and it's a more long-lasting and heartfelt wish, I felt like. I think right now we're just at the start of what we could do for the community. In the next few years, I hope to get really established and learn about running my own nonprofit. I really hope that we could reach a lot of people out here.
You could ask for anything else, and he wants to give back. It's a blessing to be able to help him fulfill his dreams. He wants to help the community, and he wants to do haircuts for homeless, and it's a good cause. I'm happy to be a part of it.
We have someone here that has already accomplished the idea that we thought of in our head, and then he just pulled up to our house, and we've seen our final product right in front of us, and it was pretty cool. It really makes me feel good that other people are willing to help and donate to my wish, and I feel like I have people behind me to back me up and really support me in my idea on how to help out, so I don't feel as lonely anymore. It gives me like a reason to get up and get out and really give back, because on chemo weeks and chemo days, I get stuck in a room for a while. Sometimes I get a little down, like, man, I can't go out with friends, I can't do this, but having the bus here is gonna give me like, oh, well, I'm on chemo this week, but next week we can go on the bus and really help out others and just give me that push, you know? I can't wait to get started. I'm really happy, and I'm still staying positive and just getting through.
With Make-A-Wish, you guys loving on Cameron, I mean, it's touched our hearts in ways that I'll never be able to fully express. So thank you guys.
Powerful stuff. That's amazing. You know what? Why don't we just bring Cameron out on the stage? Give him a warm welcome, Cameron. Come on up. So Cameron, you're here. And what? I mean, like, you're 17. Who does that? I mean, you get anything that you would want, right? Any wish, and you choose a bus. Like, tell us about that.
Well, the bus started out as an easier way to transport all our stuff to go and do makeup and hair for clients. So we didn't do homeless starting out. That was the first thought of the bus. But we kind of transferred our idea to helping the homeless with the bus and being able to go and reach out to the homeless around the corner from our house, you know, and give back to the community in that way, and giving them an experience that they wouldn't normally get. You know, it brings up their mood to, we would thought, you know, if we could ever accomplish it, to walk on a dope bus and get a cool haircut and maybe some drinks or whatever, you know, we could give them some socks and hopefully just make their day.
Amazing. And so I know that you have designed this logo and you have a personal motto. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that means to you?
Love thy neighbor was the motto that I came up with, me and my mom. We hear a lot about, let's give to, I don't know, Africa because they need help right now, or let's give to some other odd place that's really far away. I'm not saying that's bad, but we have people right around the corner that don't have a roof over their head or food to eat, or that get treated rudely, and we could really be helping out people just around the corner. We don't need to go really far to help out when you have someone down the street that could use your help in their time of need, you know?
Amazing. So Cameron, you are an inspiration to us. And you're a pretty smart guy. In just the short time that we spent, it's obvious you have an amazing heart for God and amazing love for community. And you've probably already figured this out, but Adventist Health and Make-A-Wish are partnering, and we are going to fulfill your wish.
Yeah.
We can applaud for that. And so we know that you already have a bus and it hasn't necessarily been finished out, so we're committing to walk this journey with you. And so we're inviting our CEO, Scott Reiner, CEO of Make-A-Wish, Jennifer Stolo, and our Chief Business Officer, John Beeman, out here, and they are going to present the biggest check you've probably ever seen. Scott.
So Cameron, I had a chance to spend a few minutes with you backstage. You are an impressive guy.
Thank you.
Besides that, you're a 49er fan, which is really pretty cool, right? We compared, we had some shirts similar. We were talking about that. We have been talking about today being a force for good. Not just talking about it, not just writing about it, not just thinking about it, but doing it. And you are an incredible example of that. We want to thank you. You're inspiring us. In fact, our mission statement, right, is to live God's love by inspiring health, wholeness, and hope. Cameron, today, and the work that he's doing and will continue to do is inspiring us. All these people out here are going to be inspired by what you're doing. That feel pretty cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for doing that for us and for all those who you get to touch, and we're so excited to be able to help you on your mission.
Thank you.
You know, real quick at Make-A-Wish, as we said, there's all kinds of wishes that come through our door every day, but it is not often that we see a child come through our door and want to give back in this way. So Cameron, you are quite the inspiration. We thank you for being a part of our Make-A-Wish family.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What a way to finish Mission Week. Am I right? Thank you all for coming. Thank you all to the hospitals who have joined online today, this week. We have a couple of announcements after prayer, so I'm asking if you please remain in your seats so that we can give those announcements to you. But for right now, let's just pause and bow our heads. Father, you inspire us in many ways. You call us in many ways. Thank you for all the reminders that we have, for Cameron's reminder of what it means to be inspired and in turn inspire others. We want to thank you for the call to be brilliant, to be curious, to be welcoming, to be a force for good. And we simply, humbly ask that you go with us in all of those endeavors, that the spirit that we felt this week will go with us today, tomorrow, and inspire us to share your love, to live your love, and to give health, wholeness, and hope. In Jesus' name, amen. So a couple announcements. First, there will be refreshments outside for you afterwards, so please enjoy. I also want to say thank you. Obviously, a week like this goes a lot of hard work in the background, a lot of volunteers. I see a lot of orange shirts every morning. I appreciated the welcome as we walked in. But specifically, I want to call out Randy, Japheth, Jenny, Brendan for organizing every morning, and just say thank you to everybody for all the hard work.
Thank you. And yes, one more thank you is in order. So we recognize that it isn't just a few people doing this wish and making it happen for Cameron, but there's several. So I just want to take a moment to recognize those people. And if you're here, please stand up so that we can say thank you. Demink Designs, HDL Design, the Make-A-Wish Executive Board, MTA, and Jose Nava and his team from Stay Sharp Barbershop. Any of you here with us this morning? All right. Well, thank you so much. We want to still recognize them for their involvement. And we actually aren't quite done yet. Now, you heard in the video that Cameron actually had a bus, and it's not finished on the inside quite yet. We are committing to seeing this through and finishing it out for him in the next couple of months, but he actually doesn't know that we've already started. And so just in the last couple of weeks, we took this bus. It is wrapped with his logo, and it is outside in the courtyard right now. And so we want to invite you to join us in a special dedication of prayer over this project and Cameron. And so right now, we are going to ask you to exit with intentionality, just as you came in, and you will be guided to line the courtyard outside. Just a few minutes, Cameron is going to walk outside, and we want you to give him the biggest Adventist health welcome and cheer he has ever experienced. So guys, let's do this. Let's go out. Thank you.
just saying. Benji took a cheap way out. Just like, start doing lights. Start doing lights. I'm done. As long as you can see everyone, I think it's good. If I mess up the cue, I don't know who's gonna see it. How you doing? You alright?